let's check this out. So over the last like 3-4 months, they've been talking about like they're changing the way they look at the game. They're changing the way, you know, their mentality about the game. Things are getting too stale, you know, blah, 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 blah. Things have been the same for like 10 years. Now, I have been saying they need to change for like, I don't know, fucking the better part of a decade. So finally, they're doing it. We've already made a cope list. So here's one video that I made, man, 7 months ago. This is like the cope list. Cope list. I'll just TLDR it, okay? Basically, my whole point of this is that they need to come out with more content faster. Okay? So anyway, Final Fantasy XIV is already facing toward the next 10 years. The fan festivals are also planned, and a fairly big announcement is being prepared to be announced, with the determination that the game will be reborn for the second time, under the goal that the game will evolve into a cutting-edge service while rethinking everything from zero. I feel like that this is like completely over fucking dramatized, man. Okay, this is completely over dramatized. I feel like the way they worded this was to build hype. Because look, man, Final Fantasy, people have been shitting on it recently, but this isn't even the worst time Final Fantasy's been in. This isn't even close to the worst time, actually. There were multiple other times that Final Fantasy has been in a way shittier state than it is now. The only reason why, like, I guess people are so loud about it is because the MSQ Andes. Okay, well, that's not the only reason. That's one big reason. But another reason is because finally, after 3, 4, 5 years, the same system, the same cycle, same routine, people are getting bored of it. This is good. This is a good thing. I think maybe Reborn thing ties into going past level 100, like knocking the player power back down and advancing your character another way. I mean, maybe. I mean, I think leveling in general, traditional leveling is like over, it's monotonous, it's boring, it's like, it's just busy work. I think they should focus more on the in-game, but, you know, more on max level. That's a different conversation, right? But like, I think this is over dramatized because I think they said it like this to build hype. But I actually love Dawn Trail. Dawn Trail is on pace to be my favorite expansion. My current favorite expansion is Stormblood, and a shit ton of people hated the story in that too. But Stormblood was awesome, man. It had insane raids, had 2 ultimates, had like Eureka and shit, had BA, you know, all that shit, you know. Stormblood was good. But hopefully with 8.0, man, they changed their cycle, and that's what the cope list was. Hopefully they changed the way they do things. And hopefully they change the jobs a little bit. You know what I'm saying? They need to bring the jobs, like basically the overall difficulty of the game needs to be like, you know, somewhere around 40% jobs, 60% raid. Basically, they need to make the jobs harder, but not too hard. They need to make the jobs punishing. You need to be punished for when you fuck it up, because when you fuck up and you can't make DPS checks, that should be a thing in the game. You should not be able to zombie through everything, completely botch your rotation. Part of the difficulty of playing in a raid should be your job. Jobs harder, but content easier. Content easier to a certain degree. You can't make jobs too hard and also make the raids too hard. It doesn't work that way because then people can't fucking do it. The overall difficulty of the game right now is like fucking 90% raid, 10% job. They need to bump up the difficulty of the jobs. Going back to the point, right? This is a good thing. So this is a good thing that they changed their philosophy on like content design. They're trying to make all pieces of content available for as many different players as possible. That alone is going to make everything better. So anyway, there's 2 different links, Korean link, and then we'll look at this one first, I guess, because it's a little shorter. 14 is heading into the next decade. We're rethinking everything from scratch. So question, what topics would you like to focus on during your visit to Korea, and feedback? When I meet with users in all regions, I don't want anything special. I want to honestly hear everything they think. However, playstyles and preferences differ slightly from region to region. I think China and Korea have a strong tendency to want to decorate the... Oh, you know what? No. This actually pisses me off. Does anybody have that fucking tweet that showed the Bahamut wings? Yeah. Look at this shit. Look at this fucking shit, dude. Look at this, man. Look, this pisses me off. 14 mobile version, the 3-stage upgrade for Nail Wings, which will be displayed even during combat, is coming this summer. It evolves 3 times to reach its final form. Dude, are you fucking kidding me, man? This is insane, brother. Look at that. That's fucking insane, man. Dude, I like how people shit on mobile games, and then you see this, and you're like, wow, you know what? Wow, this actually looks better than the fucking PC version. Yeah, I saw this, and it pissed me off. Dude, why the fuck is this Lalafell? What in the fuck is going on over there, man? Okay. Sorry, we like really derailed there. But yeah, I just saw that. I saw that today, and this fucking triggered the fuck out of me when he... Okay, so you know what? Let's just Leo, I'm so sorry, but I got really mad really quickly. I'm sorry. Now I'm not mad anymore. I think China and Korea have a strong tendency to want to decorate their characters. Oh, really? Really? Just China and Korea, huh? Really? Just China and Korea? Okay. Korea probably has the highest per capita consumption of Fantasias in the world. Now, you know why? You know why this is, bro? You know why this is? Is because these motherfuckers don't know about mods. Also, I used to think that Korea was a market where PC gaming was overwhelmingly the norm, but the situation has changed dramatically since then. That's why I want to hear frankly about things like what the environment users usually play in, how much time they spend on Final Fantasy, and what their patterns are for logging in and taking a break. Looking at the data alone is different from hearing what people say. I've looked at the data, but I think it would be good to hear honest answers about what environment people play in and how much they play. Okay. In that regard, one thing I think is very important is the user's disposable time. Since disposable time has become very short, I would like to hear about the period during which they can log in, how long they play after logging in, and what kind of play they do. I think the game needs to adapt to that. Disposable time will obviously vary by country, so I would like to hear directly from users. MMOs are a genre that takes time to play, so I don't think they're a good fit for today's world. There are already many pioneers who have played for a long time and then moved on. And to follow in their footsteps, you have to invest a huge amount of time again, which is difficult. I don't think it's right to have to invest hundreds of hours to enjoy a game. So conversely, if there's something to look forward to every time you log in, and if the satisfaction that matches those expectations is provided, I think MMO genre will continue to be loved. This is what Final Fantasy XIV aims for. So I'd like to hear more from the perspective in the future. Okay, so I mean, this can be good, but it also can be bad. It can be bad in the sense that like it's going to take away from people that do have a lot of time. And really, an MMO is not like, you know, it's not something you just like log on to and you're done in like an hour with like everything, right? And it's definitely not like a single player game. So that's fine if they want to cater to these people to a certain degree, but they have to remember that at the end of the day, it is an MMO and it's going to take time, and they have to reward the people that do have time to devote to it. So this can be good, but it also can be bad, because if they start to take away those commitments, those like, you know, like ultimate rating, you know, that type of stuff. And I'm not saying that they're going to, but let's just say that they decide to not focus on that anymore. They're going to lose a lot of players too. I think a world does exist where you can cater to both. I don't think that you can cater to one and not the other. I think that both types of players can be satisfied. They've already mentioned that their design philosophy is changing, right? Like whenever they come out with content, it's going to be for as many different people as possible. It's going to like widen the target audience. Let's see if this translation's any different. Let's see if there's anything more that they added. The Korean version of 14 has finally received the same updates as global. Okay. After a full 10 years, Korean users have finally waited. Along with the exciting news, a welcome guest is Yoshi-P, the director and producer, revisiting Korea for the first time in a long while. We sat down with producer Yoshida to discuss the 10th anniversary of the Korean service Cafe Crystarium, the simultaneous gold release, and the future direction of 14. Yoshida expressed his joy at the game's successful 10-year run in Korea and expressed his commitment to ensure the players around the world can continue to enjoy the game. The interview was concluded by a Korean media outlet. Okay, so when they say they are planning for the next 10 years, I actually believe them, because 11 is still going. And that to me is insane. That to me is crazy. Will I play this for another 10 years? Probably. But I can't say for sure, right? You know, am I going to play this for the next couple years? I mean, absolutely. I'm pretty confident I can say that. But for the next 10 years, I don't know. But when they say, yo, we're planning for 10 years out, I fucking believe them, bro. We've reached this turning point, the 10th anniversary of the Korean service. I'd like to thank everyone. Korea's MMO market is fiercely competitive, with many discerning players, making it a truly challenging market compared to Japan. You know, I'm actually curious because Korea's culture is much different over there. They're much more pay to win. They're much more gacha and stuff. So I'm curious as to how they think about Final Fantasy XIV, because Final Fantasy XIV is probably it's probably the least pay-to-win game I've ever played. So I wonder how they think about it. Of course, the development team's efforts are a prerequisite, but I believe that the passion of Korean users... okay, here's an American. Never mind, dude. I'm looking at these fucking mudras and shit, and it's fucking confusing me, man. Okay, question. Starting with 7.5, simultaneous patches will be released in Korea. Okay, so yeah, they're going to be caught up. I'm curious about the efforts made in the final stages and how the frequency of broadcast will change. Users have waited for a truly long 10 years. Square Enix has staff in charge of Japanese, English, French, and German. In fact, Square Enix was a company developed global version later. Meanwhile, 14 regularly undergoes large-scale updates. Okay, under these circumstances, simultaneous releases in other languages were a significant risk. However, we've worked hard to form a Korean translation team. Once we finalize the Japanese text, we hand over the previous version to the Korean team to begin translation. We then hand over the revised version and it continues with translation. We also recorded voice recordings during the process, delaying the interval between major updates by 3 weeks to increase the number of languages supported. Simultaneously felt like putting the cart before the horse. Once we finalized the Japanese, we recorded the voice recordings during this process. After numerous tests to verify the feasibility of this project, we arrived at this point. Okay, however, going forward, it will be difficult to provide specific responses to each region. Exclusive content, pre-release costumes will be eliminated. Instead, we will all move forward together as one global community. It took a long time to prepare, but it will be realized soon. Thank you for your patience. This is awesome because I'm sure there's a lot of people in Korea that love to play 14. I mean, it's a really good game. I haven't tried Live Letter yet, so I don't know. I'll try various things. I've started providing the PowerPoint presentation for Live Letter to the Chinese and Korean team before the broadcast. This is provided 3 days before the broadcast. Even after that, revisions are made until the broadcast. Furthermore, because there's no script at all, providing a script in advance is impossible. Okay, so he just wings it. Okay, cool. I mean, that's kind of cool. He just fucking wings some of it. Okay. So I think it would be a good idea to mirror Live Letter and have a live broadcast with Korean interpretation. Oh, really? Oh, really? Yo, what about fucking American interpretation, bro? What about American interpretation? Now, you know what? I don't fuck, dude. You know what, man? You know what? Kate ruined it for us all. She ruined it for all fucking Americans. You know why? Because they ain't never gonna have another fucking American translator again. You know why? Because dude, they're fucking done, dude. Okay? The last American translator they had wanted to purge and murder motherfuckers. We ain't never getting another translator, bro. Now, you know who our fucking translator is? It's the motherfucking Reddit Discord. Okay? What's that person's name? Miyuna or whatever, doing God's work. Bless. Or I think it would be nice to revisit the broadcast the day after. We could also leave new information in a Live Letter. We're trying out various formats and gathering. Okay, question. Following the simultaneous update of 7.5, will it be possible to hold FanFest in all global regions? Oh shit, a Korean FanFest? It's realistically impossible to complete 5 regional fan festivals before the expansion pack. Our main business is servicing and developing games. Fan festivals require significant operational costs. China, around that patch releases, will be synchronized with 7.4 and Korea with 7.5. Fan festival schedules have already been announced for North America, Europe, and Japan. However, China and Korea prioritized catching up. Furthermore, 8.0 hasn't been officially released yet. Even if 9.0 were to arrive, there are still 8.x patches ahead. If we were to hold and plan fan festivals in 2028, 2029, things could change. There's no telling what the future holds. For now, China and Korea have prioritized catching up with patch releases. Okay. Conversely, with the global simultaneous release and the momentum behind it, it's possible to hold another fan festival. What's been difficult so far is that we had to announce the expansion packs in Korea and China. We will work hard to achieve the simultaneous release in the future. Let me reiterate, I view Final Fantasy XIV as a global game. As a member of the Final Fantasy XIV community, I hope the entire world can play together. Since the patches will be consistent in the future, I hope we can have something like Final Fantasy XIV World Cup. Huh. Oh, who am I kidding? They're talking about PvP. What a fucking joke. PvP in Final Fantasy. This is okay, whatever. Final Fantasy XIV is available in many countries, and Korea doesn't seem to be on the top of terms users. Nevertheless, we've been consistently providing services specifically for Korea. What does Korea version mean to... okay, the long-held dream... Oh, this I guess has actually answered my question a little bit. The long-held dream of simultaneous updates for the Korean and global versions now realized. I don't believe 14 is divided by country. I view Final Fantasy as a single global community. Always keep this in mind. Even with a single gaming community, growth environments vary by region, entertainment, food, trends. A real society itself has distinct characteristics across countries. To ensure the massive 14 community resonates with each country, we're actively collaborating and partnering by examining trends and user preferences. Okay, man, look, I'm going to be real. Your Japanese cafe attracts many fans, both Korean and international. Okay, I don't really give a shit about the cafe. We've been to Eorzea cafes Are there any welcome goods? Okay, again, I don't care. I'm curious about why you decided to open a three fucking... Dude, this fucking interviewer is a moron, dude. Why are there so many questions about a cafe? Just go to one. It's a fucking cafe, just Eorzea theme. It's exactly like Starbucks and everything else, bro. It's not that it's just okay, look, for all of you that have never been to the Eorzean cafe, I'm going to hit you with some reality, okay? It's just like every other fucking cafe, okay? You go into Starbucks, just imagine, instead of like, I don't know, some fucking mermaid lady that kind of looks like the Statue of Liberty, just imagine an Aetherite. That's literally it. You can still get all that shit, but instead of getting, an iced green tea latte with 2 pumps of peppermint, 5 pumps of classic syrup, light ice, instead of getting that, you just get the Titan squirt. It's the same thing. It's just called something different. The MMO genre dilemma is that it requires a lot of time compared to reduced player disposal time, which is a huge burden. Having run Final Fantasy for a long time, you've clearly seen and experienced these changes more clearly than anyone else, which is why you mentioned earlier that you want to make changes in that regard. Could you elaborate on your thoughts? It's difficult to give specific examples, but I'll try to be specific as possible. In the past, MMOs were built around repetitive tasks known as grinding, time-consuming gameplay. However, things have changed since World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy as well. Okay, yeah, this is true. This is 100% true. I agree with this, yes. For example, Final Fantasy XIV adopted a game design where no matter how busy you were, you could still manage to collect 450 tombstones per week. Furthermore, the 2 major updates were considered seasons, significantly increasing item levels. This means that even if you took a break for about 6 months and returned, you'd quickly catch up with everyone else. This is a significant departure from past MMOs. That is true. Final Fantasy XIV's design up until now has been about keeping players engaged, even if they play for short periods of time. I don't agree with this. I agree somewhat. They need to say Final Fantasy XIV design up until now has been about keeping casual players engaged, even if they play for short periods of time. I would even say mid-core players, they are not engaged. Maybe for 3-4 months tops, but after that, they nope the fuck out. I feel like the only exception to that is maybe like you're progging an ultimate. Maybe you took a break and now you're coming back and now you're going to play for a little bit longer because you have catch up or some shit. But I think that this is a very casual player focused game. While collecting 450 tombstones is readily understood by longtime Final Fantasy XIV players, it's difficult for new players, particularly those coming from smartphone-based online games or newer titles, to understand what happens after collecting 450. It's a difficult form to grasp. Remember how up here I said casual players engaged? Final Fantasy has always tried to cater to the most idiotic, moronic players. This is why I think they do that. Because unlike WoW and Ion and all of these other games, they are not attached to this single player entity. There's a lot of people that play like other Final Fantasies, like, 7, 8, whatever. And then they play this when they're like, ooh, it's another Final Fantasy. But they don't realize that it's an MMO. So, no, I'm not saying everybody's like that, right? But I'm saying that this game has those type of players. Like, you will never see those type of players in, like, WoW. You will never see those type of players in other games. I mean, there's a lot more people in WoW that WoW. Well, no, you're missing my point here, man. I'm not saying that there are more first-time MMO players in 14 than WoW. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that there is a specific type of player. That type of player will play a single-player game or series like Final Fantasy. Because Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, they're all the same type of game, okay? They're all single-player RPGs. When they see 14, the first thing that probably going to come into their head is, okay, it's just another Final Fantasy. But Final Fantasy 14 is vastly different from the other Final Fantasies. So I'm not saying that 14 has more new players than WoW or any other game. I'm saying that 14 has a specific type of player. That type of player you won't see in other MMOs unless that MMO is also attached to a single player game series. Okay, look, I'm just going to say it. Single player gamers are fucking idiots. Okay? They're dumb. They're not going to know what a tank is. They're not going to know what a weekly cap is. And you know how I know this? Because I used to be one of them. I remember when my friend was like, hey, you want to play Final Fantasy XIV? And I was like, wait, Final Fantasy XIV? It's a co-op game? They're like, nah, it's an MMO. I was like, MMO? What the fuck is that? And they're like, well, you got a tank and a DPS. I was like, DPS? What the fuck is that? That's what I'm trying to say. The concept of tank exists even in, okay, it's like you're trying to purposely be a fucking retard, man. It's like you're purposely trying to disagree with me. Dude, the concept of tank is in every fucking game, man. But they don't know it. When I played like single player games, right, with like, you know, skill trees and shit, and I would spec into defense, I wasn't like, oh, let me go the tank tree. I was like, no, I want to fucking survive. I didn't know that it was a tank archetype. Yes, the concept is there, but my point is that they don't know it. That's my point. And it's like, because you know it, and because some of you guys also know it, obviously, like you're not thinking about the time when you didn't know it. That's what I'm trying to say. That's my point. If you have not played an MMO or know a person that does, or don't know the language, you're not going to know what that shit means. From here on out, I'll just give you an example. When logging in, the game asks users questions. Do you only have 2 hours to play? Do you want to get stronger today? Do you want to enjoy the story today? Once they make their selection, it suggests a play style. Current MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV rely heavily on players themselves. They decide how to play within the game. Therefore, we're exploring ways the game to suggest activities they want to pursue, help them find them, and provide clear guidance on what fun content they can do within their time. Given the limited time players previously mentioned, I believe we have a clear path forward in that sense. My current goal is to evolve the service. To put it bluntly, even 450 tombstones might not be particularly meaningful to those who don't care about item level. Therefore, we can consider exchanging them for mounts, attractive gear, and other items. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. I'm sorry, I'm just surprised. Sorry, hold on. Give me a second. I'm just kind of surprised. I believe these things, which have been taken for granted until now, can be taken to a higher level in online game services and entertainment. That's why I'm currently considering this direction. I hope to realize this in the near future. However, I'll stop here because I think anything more than that might be a hint to competitors. Oh, competitors. The 450 tome cap should have been changed like 8 years ago. Okay, I'm just going to say this, and I think you guys will agree with me. Once the odd patches happen, so for instance, 7.1, 7.3, 7.5, once those patches hit, boom, raise the tone cap to 2,000, call it a day, ain't nobody fucking care. Make it unlimited. If you hit 2,000, you spend some, you hit 2,000 again. That's it. Okay? That's the only thing they need to do. I think Final Fantasy XIV's greatest strength is its community. What do you think is the reason for such a strong community structure? First, the original Final Fantasy XIV started off as a huge failure. Yes, despite that, players continued to support and help each other, and the development team supported players in any way possible. I believe that mutual commitment at the time became the foundation of the game. Second, we've been as honest as possible with our users. We've been transparent about what's working and what's not in development and operations without hiding the reasons. I'm going to disagree with this because there have been several instances that I can think of. We're not going to get into them because that again is a completely different topic and discussion, but I will just say that they have lied about things in the past, and they have not been transparent with things in the past. They do not tell us everything. They also will lie from time to time. So I do not agree with this. We've listened to user feedback honestly, and we've also been honest about our own thoughts. Mutual understanding is a huge factor. I will agree with this to a certain extent. We have listened to user feedback. I do think they listen to user feedback. I think that they should listen to a little bit more user feedback. I think they should be just a little bit less proud and arrogant. But I will agree, they mostly listen to feedback. I hope there's no misunderstanding, but I think whether the monetization model is subscription or free-to-play is also important. Yes, it is very important. Subscription-based is always better than free-to-play. Say it with me. Subscription-based is always better than free-to-play. Final Fantasy XIV has an official forum, and posting on the forum requires a monthly subscription because players love their characters so much they don't want to be judged negatively for making careless comments. What? Because they're connected to the character, they think twice before making a statement. Oh, all right. Okay. Okay. I don't know why. This is actually depressing that they think this. But anyway, I'm not saying the free to play model is bad. The fact that that's free to play means the number of players is overwhelmingly large, and that increases the potential for conflict. Without the two factors mentioned above, it can be difficult for a community to unite. I mean, subscription based models are better because they're also like, it's also easier to plan around too. The biggest factor is that Final Fantasy XIV is a game where each player is a protagonist. Many players take pride in their role as protagonists thanks to their in-game experiences. The gameplay and story are deeply ingrained in each player, which likely contributes to the... What the fuck was the... what? What the fuck is he talking about? Okay. All right, that's a weird answer. Why do you think Korea maintains such a strong community despite a small population? I don't think the number of users is small in today's world of monthly subscription MMOs and games focused on fantasy elements. Today, I mentioned that Korea has a truly passionate user base. I'm truly happy and grateful for that. This was weird. Okay, so there were like two really good questions here and two really good answers. The rest of it was like fucking weird as shit. Yeah, so basically, I don't think that, I highly doubt 14 is ever going to go free to play. I highly doubt it. One, they make too much money. Two, subscription base are just better, man. You don't want to go down the free to play hole unless you, I guess, absolutely have to or whatever, man. Free to play is like 99% whaling and cash shop. There are examples where you can't really whale for power, but the thing is like the game has to make money somehow. So whenever you have a free to play game, you have to be scummy to a certain degree. The severity of the scumminess will vary from game to game, but if you have a subscription-based game, you eliminate all of those problems. Why go free to play when you can have a monthly subscription and cash shop items? Well, I mean that too. If you're going to have a really good free-to-play game, okay, let's say that I were to make a free-to-play game, I would sell boosts in the form of like experience boosts, that type of shit, like gold boosts, like, whenever you kill a mob in the open world, I'd sell that type of stuff. I would sell the game time, kind of like a WoW token, kind of like I would sell that, like you could buy it with actual game money. Like basically, if I were to make a free-to-play game, it would mostly have glamour, some consumables, but nothing to give you like a severe advantage. But I would mostly sell cosmetics and time savers. Yeah, pay to fast, because I don't consider pay to fast pay to win at all. So what I wouldn't sell gear. I wouldn't sell a way to buy gold in the game. There definitely would be a subscription, obviously, if it was a free to play. The subscription would have obviously it's going to have benefits, nothing too crazy though. Probably just like a little bit of extra consumables here and there. Now the question you're going to ask yourself is, okay, well, if it's only consumables, then why would people buy it? Well, I would put like really, really fucking sexy skins in the sub. So there has to be some level of scumminess. No. Guys. We're comparing the free to play model versus the subscription based model. 14 is not going free to play. Anyway, it's going to be interesting, man. Like, cause they're talking pretty big. They seem confident, man. I got to give them that. Square Enix seems very confident in their changes, and I feel like something happened. Like maybe they fired they did fire some people, but before this, right? Before like the layoffs and shit, I feel like something internal happened, and somebody was like, hey, we've been kind of the same for like 10 years. So let's fire these 3 people that have been ruining our fucking game. And then they fucking gave them the boot. And now they hired in I don't know, maybe they hired some new people. Maybe those new people were bald. Who knows? Maybe they started listening to, a bald person, in some way, shape or form. I don't know. Maybe they did. I'm just saying, but, something changed, obviously. The way that they sound, it's a lot more confident. Seems I got a plan. Seems they're going to try this plan. And it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But anyway, good interview. And that's it.